The day my mother stole my company, she wore her favorite pearl necklace and that signature red lipstick that always made her look like she was going to war. I should have known something was wrong when she insisted on meeting at her lawyer's office instead of over our usual Friday lunch. My name is Sylvia, and until yesterday, I was the CEO of Stellar Events, Chicago's fastest growing event planning company. 5 years of blood, sweat, and tears had transformed my little startup into a multi-million-dollar operation. Now, I'm sitting in my empty apartment nursing a glass of wine, wondering how I didn't see this coming. Darling, this is for your own protection, Mom had said, sliding the papers across the mahogany desk. The market is volatile. You're young, inexperienced with real crisis management. Let me handle this. Protection? I'd laughed, scanning the documents. This is a complete transfer of ownership, Mom. You're taking my company. I'm securing your future, she replied, her voice sharp as a blade. Your father would have wanted. Don't you dare bring Dad into this. I slammed my hand on the desk, making her lawyer flinch. He believed in me. He supported my dreams. You're just being a mother. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Sign the papers, Sylvia. Don't make this difficult. Or what? Her smile turned cold. Or I'll have to remind you who co-signed your initial business loans, who introduced you to half your client base, who has the power to make every single one of those clients disappear overnight. My hands shook as I remembered all the times she'd helped me over the years. Each favor, each introduction, each piece of advice. They weren't maternal support. They were hooks, slowly sinking into my flesh, giving her leverage for this exact moment. You planned this from the beginning, I whispered, the realization hitting me like a physical blow. Every time you offered help, I taught you everything you know about business, darling. Did you really think I wouldn't have an exit strategy? She tapped the papers with her perfectly manicured nail. Sign. I signed. What choice did I have? She'd orchestrated everything perfectly, like one of her famous hostile takeovers. Only this time, her target was her own daughter. Hours later, my phone buzzed. It was Taya, my best friend from back home. Sylvia, are you okay? I just saw the press release about Stellar Events' change in management. I laughed bitterly. That's what they're calling it? What happened? Remember how you always said my mother was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers? Turns out I was just another pawn. My voice cracked. I lost everything, Taya. My company, my clients, my reputation. Come home, she said without hesitation. Your old room at my place is still free. The coast will do you good. I can't just run away. It's not running away. It's regrouping. Remember what Coach Martinez used to say? Sometimes you need to step back to see the whole field. I glanced around my luxury apartment, filled with things I probably couldn't afford anymore. My mother's voice echoed in my head. Never show weakness. Never admit defeat. Never let them see you bleed. Well, guess what, Mom? I'm bleeding. But you taught me something else, too. The best revenge requires patience, planning, and perfect timing. Taya, I wiped my eyes, straightening my spine. I'll be there tomorrow. That's my girl. We'll figure this out together. After hanging up, I walked to my window, looking out at the Chicago skyline I'd conquered once before. My mother thought she was teaching me a lesson in power. Instead, she taught me exactly how to destroy someone from the inside out. Every manipulation, every calculated move, every cruel strategy, I'd learned from the best. I pulled out my laptop and started typing. Resignation effective immediately. The email was short, professional, and would hit every major client's inbox by morning. Let Mom deal with the chaos of mass client confusion. It's not like she could blame me. After all, she just effectively fired me from my own company. My phone pinged with a text from her. I expect you in the office at 8 a.m. sharp. We need to discuss transition protocols. I didn't reply. Instead, I booked a one-way ticket to the coast and started packing. Mom always said business was war, and she just launched the first attack. But she forgot something crucial. She taught me everything I know about warfare. Game on, Mother. You wanted to teach me a lesson? Well, class is in session. The salty breeze hit my face as I stepped out of Taya's beat-up Jeep. Seabrook hadn't changed much in the decade since I'd left. Same weathered boardwalk, same peeling paint on the storefronts, same seagulls fighting over forgotten French fries. Home sweet home, Taya said, grabbing one of my bags. Though I guess it's a bit different from your Chicago penthouse. Actually, it's exactly what I need right now. I inhaled deeply, letting the familiar scent of ocean air replace the knot in my stomach. Somewhere my mother wouldn't be caught dead visiting. We climbed the stairs to Taya's apartment above the local bookstore. The wooden steps creaked under our feet, each sound a childhood memory flooding back. Your timing's perfect, actually, Taya said, unlocking the door. The summer festival committee is desperate for help. Their event planner just bailed. I froze. Taya, I didn't come here to. To what? Use your award-winning skills to help your hometown? Heaven forbid. She pushed the door open, revealing her cozy two-bedroom apartment. Besides, you need a distraction, an income. Before I could argue, my phone buzzed. Another news notification about stellar events. I clicked it before I could stop myself. Emerson Whitfield announces innovative direction for stellar events. I read aloud, my voice bitter. She's already rebranding everything I built. Hey, Taya snatched my phone. No more hate-reading news about your mom. New rule. A knock at the door interrupted us. Joseph, my old high school debate partner, stood there with a casserole dish and a sympathetic smile. Thought you might need some comfort food, he said, stepping inside. My mom's famous mac and cheese. Still your favorite? Joseph? I couldn't help but smile. You haven't changed a bit. Except now he owns half the commercial real estate in town, Taya chimed in. Including the building where they're holding the summer festival? Joseph shot her a look. Subtle. What? She needs a project. You need an event planner. It's perfect. I held up my hands. Guys, I appreciate this, but I'm not ready to. Jump back into event planning? Joseph set down the casserole. Good, because this isn't some corporate gala. This is about community, something your mother never understood. The mention of my mother made me wince, but he had a point. She'd always dismissed small-town events as quaint and provincial, just like she'd dismissed my initial dreams of starting small and growing organically. Fine, I said. Tell me about this festival. Joseph's face lit up. Let's discuss it over dinner. I know a quiet place. No, Taya interrupted. We're eating this casserole and drinking the emergency wine I've been saving, and you're both going to help me convince Sylvia that this town needs her. 3 hours and 2 bottles of wine later, we'd spread documents across Taya's coffee table. The festival's previous plans were basic, almost amateur. See? Joseph pointed to the budget. They're thinking too small. This could be huge for local businesses. And look at this venue layout, I muttered, sketching on a napkin. If we move the main stage here, added vendor booths along the boardwalk. There's my event planner. Taya grinned. A text notification lit up my phone. My mother's name made my stomach lurch. Darling, your absence today was noted. Let's discuss your role in the new organization structure over dinner tomorrow. The usual place. I showed the others the message. Delete it, Joseph said firmly. You're not her puppet anymore. As I reached to delete it, another message arrived. This one from an unknown number. Ms. Whitfield, I have information about your mother's business practices that might interest you. Meet me at the Harbor Cafe tomorrow at 2 p.m. That's cryptic, Taya said, reading over my shoulder. And potentially dangerous, Joseph added. You can't go alone. I won't. I looked up at my friends, feeling stronger than I had in days. You're coming with me, both of you. Now that's the Sylvia I remember, Taya smiled, the one who never backed down from a challenge. I picked up the festival plans again, my mind already racing with possibilities. Maybe Joseph was right. Maybe this wasn't about jumping back into event planning. Maybe it was about remembering who I was before my mother's influence, before Chicago, before everything went wrong. One condition, I said, looking at them both. If I do this festival, we do it my way. No holding back. We show this town, and my mother, what real event planning looks like. Deal, they said in unison. As we worked late into the night, I felt something I hadn't experienced since starting Stellar Events. Pure, uncomplicated joy in creating something special. Tomorrow might bring mysterious meetings and more maternal drama, but tonight, surrounded by old friends and new possibilities, I was exactly where I needed to be. The Harbor Cafe smelled like coffee and secrets. I arrived early with Taya and Joseph, choosing a corner booth with a clear view of both entrances. At exactly 2 p.m., a man in a crisp suit walked in, scanning the room until his eyes landed on me. Ms. Whitfield, he extended his hand. I'm Elijah, a corporate lawyer. Thank you for meeting me. These are my associates, I said, gesturing to my friends. His presence felt too polished for our small coastal town. Whatever you have to say, you can say it in front of them. He slid into the booth, placing a thick manila envelope on the table. I represent several investors who've had concerning dealings with your mother. Join the club, I muttered. This is different. He lowered his voice. We've uncovered some irregularities in her business practices, patterns that extend back years, including her recent acquisition of your company. My heart raced as he pulled documents from the envelope, financial statements, contracts, emails, all bearing my mother's distinctive signature. She's been running a sophisticated scheme, Elijah explained, creating shell companies, manipulating valuations, using inside information to orchestrate takeovers. Joseph leaned forward, his real estate experience showing. These property transfers, they're all dated within days of major market shifts. Exactly. Elijah nodded. Your mother didn't just take your company, Ms. Whitfield. She's been systematically absorbing businesses for years, using information she shouldn't have had access to. But why come to me? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Because you're the only one who knows how she operates from the inside, and because, he hesitated, we found your father's old files. The cafe suddenly felt too warm. What about my father? Your mother claimed she inherited his shares in the family business after his death, correct? When I nodded, Elijah pulled out another document. This suggests otherwise. Your father left his shares to you in a trust that would mature on your 30th birthday. But I never received any shares, I whispered. She told me Dad left everything to her. Exactly. Elijah's expression hardened. She intercepted the trust documents and forged your signature. You should have gained control of the family business 2 years ago. Taya grabbed my hand under the table as Joseph swore quietly. We need your help, Elijah continued. With your testimony and these documents, we can build a case, but it has to be handled carefully. Your mother has powerful friends. And enemies, apparently. I studied him. Who are these investors you represent? People who want justice, including Juliana Franklin. I nearly choked on my coffee. Juliana, my mother's pet protege? Former protege. Your mother burned her too, about 6 months ago. She's been gathering evidence ever since. My phone buzzed. Another text from my mother. Your silence is childish, Sylvia. Don't forget who taught you everything you know. Looking at her message, something clicked. The summer festival, I said suddenly. We can use it. What do you mean? Taya asked. My mother monitors everything I do, right? So let's give her something to monitor. A big, splashy event that'll keep her attention while we work with Elijah. Joseph caught on immediately. The perfect distraction. And with my properties involved, it'll look like you're just trying to rebuild your career in a small market. She'll underestimate it, I nodded, just like she underestimated me. It's risky, Elijah warned. If she suspects anything, she won't, because she believes I'm exactly what she made me, ambitious but ultimately weak, talented but easily controlled. I straightened my spine. She has no idea who I really am. And who's that? Taya asked softly. My father's daughter. I turned to Elijah. I'll help you, but on one condition. When this is over, I want everything in the open. Every scheme, every lie, every manipulation. The world needs to know exactly who Emerson Whitfield is. He nodded solemnly. That's the plan. Are you ready for what that means? This could get ugly. It already is ugly. I gathered the documents, my mind racing with possibilities. Send everything you have to my secure email and get me a meeting with Juliana. As we left the cafe, Joseph pulled me aside. Are you sure about this? Taking on your mother legally. It's not just business anymore. It was never just business. I watched a seagull dive for a discarded sandwich. She didn't just steal my company, Joseph. She stole my inheritance, my confidence, my trust. She stole years of my life. And now? I smiled, feeling more like myself than I had in years. Now I'm taking it all back. Starting with this festival, we're going to make it so spectacular that every media outlet in the region will cover it. Perfect bait, Taya grinned. Exactly. I linked arms with my friends as we walked along the boardwalk. Mom always said the best traps are the ones your target walks into willingly. Behind us, Elijah made a phone call. She's in. Tell Juliana to get ready. The game is on. The coffee shop buzzed with morning energy as Juliana slid into the seat across from me. She looked different from the last time I'd seen her. Less polished, more human. The designer blazer was replaced with a casual sweater, her trademark severe bun now a relaxed ponytail. I have to admit, she said, stirring her latte, I never thought we'd be on the same side. Funny how betrayal changes things. I pushed a folder across the table. These are my plans for the summer festival. Take a look. Her eyes widened as she flipped through the pages. This is ambitious. Celebrity chefs, regional artists, corporate sponsorships? In Seabrook? Think bigger. I leaned forward. We're not just planning a festival. We're creating bait. Every major media outlet within 300 miles will cover this. And where there's press, Emerson will come sniffing around, Juliana finished, understanding dawning on her face. She won't be able to resist. Exactly, but I need your help. You still have connections with the sponsors she stole from me. Juliana's expression hardened. Not just from you. That woman promised me partnership, mentorship. Instead, she used my contacts, drained my resources, and left me with nothing but debt and broken promises. Sounds familiar. I pulled out my phone, showing her the latest press release about stellar events. She's already rebranding everything. New logo, new direction, new everything. Classic Emerson. Juliana's laugh was bitter. You know what she told me when she cut me loose? Darling, business is like surgery. Sometimes you have to cut away the dead weight to save the patient. She told me business was war. Maybe it's both. Juliana straightened. I'll make the calls. Every sponsor she stole, every contact she burned, they'll all hear about this festival. The bell above the door chimed as Joseph rushed in, waving a newspaper. You need to see this. The headline made my stomach drop. Stellar Events announces major expansion, plans to acquire regional event companies. She's coming for the small markets, I whispered. She's going to crush every independent event planner from here to Chicago. Not if we stop her first. Joseph spread out his own documents. I've been going through the property records Elijah sent. Your mother's shell companies have been buying up venues all over the region. Small theaters, conference centers, historic buildings. Creating a monopoly, Juliana nodded. Control the venues. Control the industry. My phone buzzed with a text from Taya. Local Business Association meeting in 10 minutes. They're talking about selling the community center to a major development group. Get here now. She's already here, I said, showing them the message. She's making her move on Seabrook. We raced to the community center, arriving just as the meeting was starting. The room was packed with familiar faces, shop owners, restaurateurs, people I'd known my whole life. The offer is quite generous, the association president was saying. The development group assures us they'll maintain the building's historic character while modernizing the facilities. And pricing out local events, I called out, stepping forward. Every head turned. That generous offer comes with strings. Trust me, I know exactly how this plays out. Sylvia? The president blinked. This is a closed meeting. I'm a local business owner now. I gestured to Joseph. Or I will be once Joseph and I finalize our partnership for the summer festival. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Joseph stepped up beside me. Before anyone votes on selling, you should know what happened in other towns that accepted similar offers. Show them, Sylvia. I projected Juliana's research onto the wall, graphs showing skyrocketing venue rental costs, statistics on failed local businesses, testimonials from other communities. This isn't development, I declared. It's corporate colonization, and it's being orchestrated by someone who sees your community center as just another piece on her chessboard. Your mother, someone in the crowd said quietly. Yes, and if you sell to her shell company, the summer festival will be the last affordable community event ever held in this building. The room erupted in discussion. I felt Juliana touch my arm. Nice speech, but your mother won't take this lying down. I'm counting on it. I watched the association members huddle together, voting ballots in hand. The more she fights, the more attention she draws, and attention is exactly what we need. My phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. Bold move, darling, but remember who taught you to play chess. See you at the festival. Mom. I showed it to Juliana and Joseph. She took the bait. The trap is set, Juliana agreed. But Sylvia, are you ready for what happens when it springs? Looking around the community center, at the faces of people who'd known me since childhood, I felt a certainty I hadn't experienced since before my mother's betrayal. Ready? I smiled grimly. I've been preparing for this my whole life. She made sure of that. 3 weeks before the festival, chaos erupted in Taya's apartment-turned-command center. Phones rang constantly, papers covered every surface, and my laptop pinged with endless email notifications. The celebrity chef just doubled his appearance fee, Joseph announced, hanging up his phone. Says he got a better offer from another event. Let me guess, I said, not looking up from my spreadsheet. Stellar Events? Bingo, your mother's trying to poach our headliners. Taya burst through the door, looking frazzled. The printing company just canceled our order for promotional materials, said there was a computer glitch with our deposit. She's getting sloppy, Juliana remarked, walking in behind Taya. These are amateur tactics. No, I corrected. She's getting desperate. Elijah's investigation must be making her nervous. I pulled up my contacts list. I've got a backup printer in Portland who owes me a favor. Taya, call that food truck guy you dated. His brother's a chef, right? The one who trained in Paris? Yeah, but get him. He's better than the celebrity chef anyway, and he's local. Joseph, how's the venue security? Tight. I've changed all the access codes and installed new cameras. If anyone tries anything, my phone rang, displaying my mother's number. The room fell silent. Put it on speaker, Juliana whispered. I nodded and answered. Hello, Mother. Darling. Her voice dripped honey-coated venom. I've been hearing interesting things about your little festival. Have you? I thought you didn't concern yourself with provincial events. Don't be cute, Sylvia. What are you trying to prove? That you taught me well. I kept my voice steady. Isn't that what you wanted? What I want, she hissed, is for you to stop this ridiculous revenge plot. You're embarrassing yourself. Really? Because our ticket sales suggest otherwise. We're trending on local social media, and 3 major networks are covering the event. Silence crackled over the line. When she spoke again, her tone had changed. We could work together, you know. Come back to Chicago. I'll give you a division of your own. Like you gave Juliana. Another pause. I see. You've been making friends. No, Mother. I've been making allies. Something you never understood the difference between. Last chance, Sylvia. Cancel the festival or what? You'll destroy me? Take everything? Too late. I glanced at my friends, drawing strength from their presence. See you at the festival, Mother. Don't forget to bring your checkbook. We're raising money for small business protection funds. I hung up before she could respond. The room remained quiet for a moment before Taya broke the tension. Okay, that was badass. And dangerous, Elijah said, appearing in the doorway. She'll retaliate. Already has. I showed him my laptop screen. 3 vendors canceled in the last hour, but look at this. I pulled up another email, this one from a major business journal. They want to do a feature story on the festival. Small town revival, how local events are fighting corporate takeover. Perfect timing, Elijah smiled, because I just got the final piece we needed. He placed a USB drive on the table, your father's original trust documents, complete with your mother's forged signatures. The forensics report came back positive. My hands shook as I reached for the drive. This proves she stole my inheritance and committed fraud. The SEC is very interested in her activities over the past 5 years. Joseph's phone buzzed. His face darkened as he read the message. Speaking of activities, your mother just bought the old marina through one of her shell companies. She's planning something big. The marina? Taya frowned. But that's where we're setting up the main stage for the festival. She can't stop the festival, I said firmly. The contract with the city is ironclad, but she's sending a message. She's not just coming for the event, she's coming for the whole town. Juliana started pacing, her event planner mind working overtime. We need to accelerate the plan, move up the timeline. No, Elijah cautioned. The SEC needs more time to build their case. We don't have more time, I argued, pulling up the marina purchase details. Look at the closing date, 3 days before the festival. She's going to try to shut us down at the last minute, create maximum chaos. Then we give her chaos, Taya suggested, just on our terms. A plan started forming in my mind. Joseph, how quickly can you get the local business association together? Tonight, if needed. Why? I smiled, feeling that familiar rush of adrenaline that came with orchestrating a perfect event. Because we're going to give my mother exactly what she wants, a very public showdown. But this time, I'm choosing the battlefield. The festival? Juliana asked. The festival, I confirmed. Mom always said timing is everything in business. Well, she's about to learn that timing can be a weapon, too. Elijah nodded slowly. I'll make some calls. Get ready, everyone. The next 48 hours are going to be intense. They already are, I said. watching another vendor cancellation pop up on my screen. But that's okay. Sometimes you have to break things to build them back better. The morning of the festival dawned bright and clear, with a breeze that carried the promise of summer. I stood at the marina, watching food trucks line up and vendors set up their stalls. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. "She's here," Taya announced, jogging up to me. "Your mother just checked into the Harbor Hotel, and she's not alone. Let me guess, lawyers? And the press, lots of press." I smiled grimly. "Good, that's exactly what we want." My phone buzzed with a message from Elijah. "SEC agents in position. Remember, keep her talking." The festival grounds transformed as the morning progressed. Local artists hung their work along the boardwalk. The smell of gourmet food filled the air, and crowds began pouring in. Every few minutes, someone would stop me to say how amazing everything looked, how this was exactly what the town needed. "Sylvia," Joseph's voice cut through the crowd. "Channel 7 wants an interview. They're setting up by the main stage." "Perfect timing." I checked my watch. "Mom should be here any minute." As if on cue, a sleek black car pulled up. My mother stepped out, wearing her signature power suit and those pearls. Two men in suits flanked her, carrying briefcases. "Darling," she called out, loud enough for nearby reporters to hear. What a charming little event. Though I'm afraid there's been a terrible misunderstanding about the venue. "No misunderstanding, Mother." I gestured to the crowds. "The festival has all necessary permits, and look, it's a huge success." "A success built on borrowed time." She smiled tightly. "I own this marina now, and I'm afraid I'll have to ask everyone to leave immediately." Cameras started rolling. Phones came out. This was exactly what we'd planned for. "Actually," I said clearly, "you don't own the marina. Not legally, anyway." Her smile faltered. "What are you talking about?" "The shell company you used to purchase this property? It's under investigation by the SEC, along with several other companies you've used for similar acquisitions." One of her lawyers whispered something in her ear. Her face paled slightly. "This is absurd," she snapped. "You're causing a scene." "No, Mother, I'm exposing one, just like you exposed my incompetence when you stole my company." I stepped closer. "Or should we talk about Dad's trust, the one you forged my signature on?" The crowd had grown silent, watching our confrontation like a tennis match. Reporters scribbled frantically. "You ungrateful little—" She caught herself, aware of the audience. "Everything I did was to protect you." "Was it? Or was it to protect your empire?" I nodded to Juliana, who emerged from the crowd with a tablet. "Show them." Juliana connected the tablet to the main stage's giant screens. Financial records, forged documents, and damning emails filled the display. "Ladies and gentlemen," Juliana announced, "let me show you how Emerson Whitfield really builds her business empire." My mother's face contorted with rage. "Stop this immediately." "Or what?" I challenged. "You'll destroy me? Take everything?" "You already tried that. But you forgot something important, Mother. You taught me too well." "Ms. Whitfield?" A man in a dark suit approached, flanked by others. "I'm with the Securities and Exchange Commission. We need you to come with us." The crowd erupted in murmurs. Phones recorded everything. My mother's lawyers huddled around her, speaking urgently. "This isn't over," she hissed at me. "Actually, it is." I held up my phone, showing her the breaking news alert. "Stellar Events CEO under investigation. Fraud and corporate misconduct alleged." As the SEC agents led her away, the festival continued around us. Music played, people danced, life went on. Taya appeared at my side, squeezing my hand. "You okay?" "I think so." I watched my mother's car disappear. "It doesn't feel real yet." "Ms. Whitfield," a reporter approached, "would you comment on your mother's arrest and the future of Stellar Events?" I thought about all the lessons my mother had taught me about handling the press. Instead, I chose honesty. This festival isn't about stellar events or corporate takeovers, I said. It's about community, about remembering that success doesn't have to come at someone else's expense. My mother never understood that, but I do, and that's why I'm announcing the creation of the Seabrook Small Business Fund, using all proceeds from today's event. The crowd cheered. Joseph appeared with champagne, passing glasses around to our core team. To Sylvia, he toasted, who proved that the best revenge isn't just success, it's success with integrity. As the sun set over the marina, casting golden light across the festival, I finally felt the weight lift from my shoulders. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Elijah. Board of Directors called an emergency meeting. They want you to take over Stellar Events. Your father's shares are being transferred to your name. It's over. I looked around at the joyful crowds, the local vendors, my loyal friends. No, I said softly, it's just beginning. The courthouse steps felt colder than they should have for a summer morning. I sat there, coffee growing cold in my hands, waiting for Elijah to emerge with news from my mother's bail hearing. You didn't have to come, Taya said, settling beside me. The lawyers could have handled this. I needed to see it for myself. I watched reporters gathering at the bottom of the steps. 3 weeks since the festival, and they're still circling like vultures. The heavy doors creaked open. My mother emerged, flanked by her legal team. She looked smaller somehow, her designer suit slightly wrinkled, her makeup not quite perfect. Our eyes met across the distance. Sylvia. She moved toward me, ignoring her lawyer's attempts to stop her. We need to talk. I think we're past that point, Mother. They're trying to put me in prison. Her voice cracked slightly. Your own mother, is that what you wanted? What I wanted? I stood up, anger burning through my practiced calm. I wanted a mother who supported me, not one who saw me as competition. I wanted to make you proud, not prove myself worthy of basic respect. Everything I did was for yourself. I cut her off. The SEC found everything, Mom. The offshore accounts, the insider trading, the forged documents, even Dad's real will. She flinched at that. Your father was weak. He would have let the business stagnate, content with small successes. No, he understood something you never did. Success isn't just about numbers, it's about legacy. Elijah emerged from the courthouse, carrying a thick folder. Bail's been set at $5 million, but there's something else. He handed me a document. Your mother's board of directors just voted. They're formally requesting you take control of Stellar Events. My mother's face went white. They can't do that. I built that company. No, I corrected, scanning the document. You stole that company, multiple companies actually, and now they're all being investigated. Sylvia, please. She reached for my hand. For a moment, I saw genuine fear in her eyes. Help me fix this. We could run it together, the way I always planned. Always planned? I laughed bitterly. You planned to break me, control me, mold me into your image. Well, congratulations, Mother. You succeeded in teaching me everything I needed to know about power and betrayal. Reporters surged forward, cameras flashing. My mother's lawyers moved to shield her, but she pushed them away. You'll regret this, she hissed. You think running a company is easy? You think you can do better than me? I already am. I pulled out my phone, showing her the latest news. Stellar Events stock is up 15% since your arrest. The market likes the idea of ethical leadership. Taya touched my arm. We should go. The press conference starts in an hour. My mother's eyes narrowed. Press conference? I'm announcing the merger of Stellar Events with several smaller planning companies, including Juliana's. We're creating a network of independent event planners, sharing resources while maintaining local control. You're dismantling everything I built. No, I'm building something better. something that helps people instead of crushing them. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Mom, I'm keeping the pearl necklace you gave me. Consider it a reminder of everything you taught me about karma. As we walked away, her voice carried across the courthouse steps. I made you who you are. No, I called back without turning. You showed me who I never want to be. In the car, Taya finally spoke. Are you okay? Not really. I watched the courthouse disappear in the rearview mirror. But I will be. My phone buzzed with a message from Joseph. Venue's ready for the press conference. You should see what Juliana did with the place. Another text followed, this one from an unknown number. Ms. Whitfield, this is Amanda from the DA's office. We need to discuss your testimony for the upcoming trial. I closed the messages without responding. There would be time for that later. Right now, I had a company to rebuild and a legacy to create. You know what the hardest part is? I said to Taya as we drove through familiar streets. Part of me still loves her. Part of me still wants her approval. That's because you're human, Sylvia. It's what makes you different from her. We pulled up to the venue, the same community center we'd saved from my mother's takeover. Inside, Juliana had transformed the space into something elegant yet welcoming. Local business owners mingled with corporate executives. Reporters set up their equipment, and in the corner, Joseph was hanging a new sign. Stellar Network, Community First, Success Second. Ready? Taya squeezed my hand. I touched the pearl necklace at my throat, not as a reminder of my mother's lessons, but of my own strength. Ready to write a new story. The cameras turned toward me as I approached the podium, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly free of my mother's shadow. It was time to show the world what success really looks like when built on integrity instead of fear. The autumn breeze carried the scent of coffee and sea salt as I unlocked the door to our new offices. The renovated marina building that had once been the battlefield of my mother's last power play. Now it housed the headquarters of Stellar Network, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the harbor where everything had changed. Morning, boss, Taya called from her desk, which was covered in event proposals. The Tokyo partnership papers just came in, and Joseph is waiting in your office with the quarterly reports. I smiled at the boss comment. Some things never changed, even if everything else had. Inside my office, Joseph was arranging papers with his usual precision. Please tell me those numbers are as good as last month's, I said, setting down my coffee. Better, he grinned, handing me the report. The Independent Planner Network has grown to 37 cities. Juliana's London office opens next week, and, he paused dramatically, the community center's youth business program just got full funding. Dad would have loved that, I said softly, touching the framed photo on my desk. My father and me at my first school business fair, using success to help others succeed. A knock at the door interrupted us. Elijah entered, looking more relaxed than I'd ever seen him during the trial. The sentencing hearing is tomorrow, he announced without preamble. They want you to make a statement. My stomach tightened. What's the prosecution asking for? 8 to 10 years plus restitution. He sat down heavily. Your mother's lawyers are pushing for house arrest, citing her contributions to the business community, and they want me to help decide her fate. I walked to the window, watching boats bob in the harbor. Perfect timing, as always. You don't have to? Yes, I do. I turned back to face them. But first, we have something more important to handle. Right on cue, Juliana burst in, tablet in hand. The first graduates of our small business mentorship program are here. 25 new entrepreneurs ready to pitch their ideas. We headed to the conference room where nervous but excited faces greeted us. Young people clutching business plans, older folks with dreams of second careers, all of them ready to build something meaningful. Welcome to Stellar Network, I began, looking at each face. You're here because you have vision, drive, and integrity. 3 months ago, you joined our program with ideas. Today, you'll leave with the tools to make those ideas reality. One by one, they presented their plans: a sustainable catering company, an accessible event space, a tech platform connecting local vendors. Each presentation reminded me why we'd created this program. Halfway through, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother's lawyer. Last chance to support leniency. Family should stick together. I typed back. Family is about lifting each other up, not tearing each other down. See you at sentencing. The pitches continued, each one strengthening my resolve about tomorrow's hearing. When the last presenter finished, we handed out the grant certificates. Seed money for each new business. No strings attached. This is what real power looks like, I told the group. Not controlling others, but empowering them. Later, as we celebrated with champagne in my office, Taya asked the question they'd all been avoiding. What are you going to say tomorrow? The truth. I picked up my father's photo. That actions have consequences. That success built on betrayal isn't success at all. And that true legacy isn't about what you take, but what you give back. Your mother won't see it that way, Joseph warned. No, she won't. But maybe someone else will. I showed them an email I'd received that morning from a young event planner thanking us for stopping predatory business practices in her city. Maybe someone else will choose a different path because of this. Elijah raised his glass. To choosing different paths. And to walking them together, Taya added. The sun was setting over the harbor as we finished our celebration. I stayed late, reviewing the day's pitches and finalizing tomorrow's statement. A text from an unknown number lit up my phone. Mom asked me to beg for mercy. I won't. You taught me better than that. Your cousin Rachel. I smiled, remembering all the family gatherings where Rachel had watched silently as my mother orchestrated her power plays. Now she was finding her voice too. Standing at the window, I touched the pearl necklace, no longer a symbol of my mother's lessons, but of my own. The lights of small businesses dotted the shoreline, each one a story of dreams being built the right way. Tomorrow, I would face my mother one last time. But tonight, surrounded by the evidence of what we'd built from the ashes of her empire, I felt only peace. She had taught me about power, but I had learned about strength. She had shown me how to take, but I had discovered how to give. And in the end, that made all the difference.